You know, I always love a good story. The concept of starting from one point and moving to another can be as simple or as complex as it's written to be. A good story can captivate your imagination in the form of fiction, or it can elaborate on stages that haven't been reached yet in the form of nonfiction. In this case, we're navigating a story of what we are currently and what we want to be going forward. The solo arc is all about owning your journey. If you're familiar with any form of narrative storytelling, there's something called a character arc. It's simply defined as a character going from one state of being to another. The main purpose is a change, transformation, or growth. So, an example of this would be if you watched a movie and saw a character struggling to make friends, couldn't make any money, or just couldn't accomplish a personal problem. But as the film progresses, they go through different trials, they strengthen their weak points, and they eventually overcome those obstacles. It's a very simple but powerful structure. The second part of an arc is the overarching story of which a character moves through. When it comes to a TV show, a character has a whole season to move from one point to another. But for us as individuals, we have seasons or chapters or phases in life where we have to navigate through. And over time, we accumulate these mini character arcs within the story of our lives. The solo arc is something I created for myself, and it describes my journey of going from being unsure of myself, struggling to find my skill set, to becoming confident in my abilities, knowing what I wanted out of life, and being proactive in avoiding the things I don't want. Ultimately, I believe everybody has a personal arc in some form. The events of your life lead you to where you are and where you eventually go. Now, some people trend more towards the positive end or the negative end. But the thing is, you have some people who know what they need to do, but they simply just never improve on it. And I'm guilty of this as well. Now, there are many ways to write a story, but I'll just simplify it. There's a first act where a character is established, what their life is like, and what problems they have, and what ultimately causes them to go on their journey. The second act, where the character tries to resolve their problems but ends up peeling a layer that they didn't foresee and falling even deeper. And the third act, where the character gains skills, awareness, and ability to confront their main obstacles. Obviously, again, this is a big oversimplification, but you get the point. Character development has to occur for the circumstances to change. The reason I call it the solo arc is because I believe it's something you need to face on your own. In my opinion, things like romantic relationships tend to divide your attention way too much, even when you think they won't. Now, if it's short term or a situation that's not stealing your energy or mental resources, by all means, it might be worth doing. But at the end of the day, having someone else around tends to amplify the problems you have in the long run. Not even necessarily because they're bad for you, but because oftentimes there is too much of a clash, and people in general often expect their significant other to fix them. So ultimately, there has to be a time that comes where you prioritize your own growth and understanding of yourself. So every good story starts with the question, what's wrong with my life? How can I address it? What do I want in the future? I think oftentimes your story gets set in motion after a pivotal event. It could be a breakup, a bad job, a lost job, depression, a bad moment, your car breaking down, a personal struggle or trigger. It could be a lot of things. Sometimes, man, enough is enough, especially when it happens at the right moment. Going through your solo arc requires you to answer really deep personal questions. Am I comfortable with myself or not? And also facing the fact that certain things just might not be a part of your long-term story. The goal is to find an intersection of comfortability and toughness. I'm not one of those hardcore self-improvement people, but I do believe it's necessary. I prefer to pick things to work on and leave the rest alone. If it's not something that takes me out of my element regularly, it's not something worth worrying about, at least in my eyes. So when it comes to stories, there's usually a key element or a key word that drives the plot. And one of my key themes is the word therapeutic. I love things that allow my mind to rest. Working out is therapeutic. Having a long walk is therapeutic. Reading is therapeutic. And seeing the results of those things makes it all worth it. And every story has rules, but we have to define our own. Everyone is not going to get married. Everyone is not going to have kids. Everyone is not going to own a large home. Everyone is not going to have a six-figure white-collar job, at least not right away. And for some, not at all. But if you want to do those things, there has to be a process of progression. Again, doing what a lot of other people do just might not be part of your story. Choose what you want, what vibes with you, and what doesn't. I've always thought that worrying about what other people do is fruitless because most people don't know themselves and are simply just relaying what they think they're supposed to do, or they're simply operating by default. You just got to find out what aligns with you because you can't let someone else write your story. We only got one life to live, and that doesn't mean foaming at the mouth and doing dumb stuff, but living a life of stress, regret, and resentment isn't the way to go. Especially when it was due to a lot of your own short-sightedness. Allowing other people to get into your ear and get you to make decisions that you probably wouldn't have made, it's a tough one. When an author writes your story, they have an idea of their conclusion, but the path to get there is a huge journey by itself. If you enjoyed this one, drop a like below and check out my newsletter where I share more notes just like this to your inbox. And as always, subscribe for more.